Dear ladies and gentlemen, salam sejahtera. I'm Aldrin Jalong bareng Anak Melayu from Radiation Department at the Safety, Health and Environment National Authority, SHENA. As the regulator for the workplace safety, health and environment, as well as radiation matters in Brunei Darussalam, SHENA remains steadfast in its belief and commitment that it can make a difference and ensure Brunei is a safe place to work and live, delivering against the aspiration of the nation under the Wawasan 2035 deliverable of quality of life. SHENA believes in raising HSE standards in the workplace and preventing work-related injuries and in particular fatalities. As a part of our ongoing drive to reach out to our stakeholders, this month we have declared it to be a safety month. In conjunction with the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, we will this month deliver key messages as presentation to you covering a number of relevant safety-related topics. I will be your speaker on the first part of our presentation on Introduction to Radiation Safety in Brunei Darussalam. So the objective of this presentation is I'll be covering what is radiation, and the second part is why is radiation safety important. I know what you are thinking. Radiation sounds like it's coming from a comic book. Will I get a superpower once there is an exposure? However, it's not like that. There is more to radiation than that, and will be explained further on the next slide. So on the slide here, there is the founder of ionizing radiation. To the top left is the father of nuclear physics, the Lord Rutherford of Nielsen, and to his right is J.J. Thomson, the discoverer of electron, and below there is Henry Becquerel, the discovery of radioactivity. And next to him is Marie Curie, the discovery of radioactivity, and next to Marie Curie is her husband, Pierre Curie, the discovery of radioactivity. The most noticeable scientist is perhaps none other than Madame Curie. So Marie Curie was a Polish-born scientist and the only scientist to win a Nobel Prize in 2 disciplines. She often described as the most inspirational woman in science. She spent many years making incredible discovery about the nature of radioactivity and the discovery of 2 elements, polonium and radium. So what is radiation? Radiation is an energy traveling as either a wave or particle. It is an electromagnetic spectrum and consists of 2 types. One is non-ionizing radiation, the other one is ionizing radiation. So what are the different types of radiation? We have alpha particle, beta particle, gamma ray and X-ray, and neutron beam. Alpha particle is a 2 proton plus 2 neutron, usually a helium nuclide, and it's a charged particle. It is a high ionization density, while the beta particle is electron or positron. The charge can be negative or positive. It is a low ionization density. Gamma rays and X-ray is an electromagnetic wave, usually photons. It is a low ionization density and high penetrative power. Neutron beam, usually uncharged particle, and it's a high ionization density. Did you know that radiation can penetrate through matter? So as you can see from the slide, alpha, in order to stop alpha, you require thin paper, while for beta particle, it requires a thin aluminium to stop it. Gamma rays and X-ray, it requires a thick lead to stop it, while the neutron ray, it requires a thicker concrete or water. Move on to the next slide. What is the difference between radiation and radioactive material? As you remember from the previous slide, radiation is an energy travel as either a wave or particle, while the radioactive material themselves emit radiation. As you can see from the diagram, radioactive material emits radiation, while the radiation itself does not remain in the body. So, if the radioactive nuclei can incorporate into the body, they will be partly removed outside the body, usually in excrement, or transferred to a particular organ or tissue. So let's talk about half-life. Half-life is the time it takes for half of the unstable nuclei in a sample to decay. Hope you are still with me, just in case your attention span have reduced by half. So what are the benefits of half-life? Scientists use half-life to find out the age of an object that takes place by the current amount of carbon-14. And this process is called carbon dating. So you can see from the table, there are different types of radionuclides and what is the radiation it emitted and also its half-life. For thorium-232, the radiation it emits is alpha and gamma, and the half-life of it is 14.1 billion years. So you could say it's pretty prehistoric. And for example, for cesium-137, it emits beta and gamma, and the half-life for it is 30 years. And lastly, for radon-222, it emits alpha and gamma, and the half-life for this is very short, it's only 3.8 days. And notice that the red letter, it means that it's an artificial radionuclide, so meaning to say it's man-made. So how to detect radiation? As we all know, radiation cannot be seen, smelled, and finally enough, tasted. So how to know that there is ionizing radiation nearby or around us? I won't go too detailed on this one, but basically there's two types of detector. One is surveymeter and another one is personal dosimeter. Surveymeter is used to measure the surrounding, while the personal dosimeter is to measure the absorbed dose within the body. So here is the radiation unit measurement. As you all know from the previous slide, radioactive material have the ability to emit radiation. There are two types of unit here. One is becquerel and the other is sievert. As you remember from the earlier slide, becquerel is one of the founder of ionizing radiation. And the unit for becquerel is 4 unit of radioactivity. And once you reach a conversion factor, which is the sievert, is the unit of radiation exposure dose that a person receives. But I won't go too detailed below the absorbed dose, equivalent dose, and effective dose. So this is the major radiation protection principle. In fact, there are 3 major principles that assist in maintaining the ALARA and can help prevent both unnecessary exposure and overexposure. There are, one is distance, second one is shielding, and the third one is time. So if by keeping away or a distance between a radioactive material, it can decrease the dose rate as the distance increases. On the second part, by placing something heavy in between, the dose rate decreases as the thickness of the object increases, and therefore the dose rate decreases. And the third and last is, by shortening the time while being close to radioactive material, the exposure dose decreases as the time shortens. So here is the benefit of radiation. There are 4 sectors in fact. One of it is medical. For example, it be used to treat cancer patients and have many life-saving treatment. And the second one is security, to detect any malicious act or act of terrorism. The third one is industry. Usually people use it for non-destructive testing. And lastly is research. Mainly one of the example is people can use for agriculture use. This is why it is important to take care of our environment and keep the hazardous waste out of the environment. Otherwise, we might end up like Springfield from The Simpsons. Imagine having a face-to-face with a fish that have 3 eyes looking at you while walking at Brunei water during Bandar Kucheria. So moving on, the biological effect of overexposure. There are 2 types of effect here. One is deterministic effect and another one is stochastic effect. And each of the effect have different value depend on the exposure, which is, for this case, is gray. And the continuation for this effect, it can create a harmful effect to the human body. So let's say from the left of the slide, you can see that from outside of the body, alpha can be stopped through the skin. But however, for beta, it can penetrate through the skin and into the tissue. And lastly, for the gamma, it can go deeper and therefore can reach the important vital organ. Let's say if the radioactive material are located within the body, the alpha only penetrate within the organ, while the beta can go a bit deeper. And similar for the outside body, the gamma ray can penetrate until outside the body. Here's an example of the lesson learned that can be learned from the international. There are many, in fact, of this radiological exposure, but one of it, the most prominent, is the radiological accident in Samut Prakan. As you can see from the diagram below, just by exposing a short amount of time, it can cause damage to the extremity or the skin. And lastly, radiation, in fact, is very common from medical, from chest X-ray, and to those who are interested in travel also can get exposure to radiation. And even bananas. That explains why multiple trips to the toilet after consuming large quantity of this fruit. And also the most important takeaway here is how much acceptable limit for the radiation worker, which is 20 millisievert, and for the public will be 1 millisievert. And with that, I would like to say thank you, and do join us on the 28th July 2020 for the second part of our slide on radiation safety. We would like to thank you for being able to join us today, and we hope what we was delivered to you have enriched your knowledge on radiation safety. Thank you.